All right, let's get into it, man. We back. Short hiatus. Earlier, if y'all missed the YouTube earlier today, I was in rare form with the phone call. I'm going to go back and clip that Jerry Jones phone call and make it its own video. It's definitely gotta have its own sauce. Suave, ATL, what's good? Shout out to everybody tapped in on our social media platforms. But we bite. And not only are we watching Cam Ward looking slim, trim, in shape, looking better than he ever did, slanging the football, slanging the rock, doing what he do best, but updates have happened. I don't think the Tennessee Titans are going after Brandon Ayuk. Tennessee Titans have made it clear that they're going for high character, healthy players that are familiar with the coaching staff and people that they think can grow into the system upwards and outwards. Ayuk is like Diggs. He's gonna have to go to a team that's like veteran laden, that'll be able to handle the media circus that will be surround him and the pressure. Tennessee Titans are not in for set pressure. But another move, today was a day where moves happen opposite of the way I thought, but it's in the right train of thought, as far as what we know that Mike Berganzi and Robert Saleh and Brian Dabo were looking for. Solomon Thomas, former first round pick, recently of the Cowboys, reunites with Robert Saleh in a pick swap. So just to correct everybody, the Cowboys move up 7 spots from 225 to 218 in round 7. Titans move back 7 spots and pick up Solomon Thomas and add to the interior defensive line, which this would signal to me that maybe they're not bringing back Sebastian Joseph Day because they already have future tenures on CJ Ravenel, who has a similar makeup and build to the interior defensive line. But biggest distraction always showing up, but we love CC when she come in here. What's good, John? So Cowboys and Titans make another trade, and now the only thing that worries me, because we added Solomon Thomas, Jordan Elliott to go behind John Franklin Myers and Jeffrey Simmons with CJ Ravenel, that would seem to signal that the Tennessee Titans have bolstered the interior defensive line, but everybody's concern is still, even though we added Malik Herring, which I would have rather had Charles Omenihu from the Chiefs than Malik Herring. Herring to me is going to be the same as Truman Jones, another former Chief that's already under contract along with Jalen Harrell and Ali Gay. So to me, that may signal that Jahad Ward may not be back. Sebastian Joseph Day may not be back, and Darrell Baker Jr. signed a contract with the Dolphins today, and that would signal that that would let us know that they're not bringing back Darrell Baker Jr. The Dolphins called the Titans bluff. The Titans didn't take the $3.5 million tender on him, and the Dolphins picked it up. So those are the last moves that has been made, and Parham has been picked up. Uche has been picked up. Bradley Chubb has been picked up. Elton Jenkins. Tennessee Titans game plan has to unfold at what they had planned to do at center, because now Mr. Reliable Corey Levin has now left to go be with Bill Callahan in Atlanta. So that's one of the pieces that I had on the board that I thought would solidify the line. But to be honest, if we're going to be real with ourselves, with the moves that has been made, No Linderbaum, no Beatas, no McGovern. Lloyd Cushenberry's already cut. No Corey Levin, no Elton Jenkins, no Parham. I'm starting to think my thought process is saying that Jackson Slater and Austin Slotman may be the two people at center that the Tennessee Titans are going to stick with, and Cordell Volson and Garrett Dellinger will be right guard. So if you're implementing Cordell Volson to interior right guard, which from the tape that I seen is he played left guard, maybe they intend to do something like this. But even with this, I don't feel that's enough. I honestly feel like Tennessee Titans' real last ditch effort now is Wyatt Teller or bring back Zietler. They all but have to. Kevin Byers gone to the Patriots. Chig Okonkwo's gone to the Commanders. A lot of pieces coming off the board that you may have thought the Tennessee Titans would have made a push on. So they've addressed almost everything but edge and interior line in a major way. We know we could not fix everything in one offseason, but that's truly the one worry, because if the Tennessee Titans don't add anything else at edge, my hopes for Jeremiah Love is now starting to dissipate, because I can't foresee, if they don't add anything else other than Jermaine Johnson and Femi coming back, Malik Herring is not a starting caliber player, nor is Jalen Harrell, nor is Ali Gay, nor is Truman Jones. I'm starting to think the Tennessee Titans are, my dreams and hopes for Jeremiah Love is now starting to turn back into my original thoughts all along before I fell in love with the Jeremiah Love train, that it's going to be edge rusher, Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, or David Bailey. Kyle was good. Yeah, Osa gone to the 49ers. Becker Rabbit was good. John Mechie to the Panthers. Panthers making some splashes. Yeah, I really not a big basketball guy anymore. John, I seen Bam Adebayo's 83-point game. I'm really focused and locked in on this free agency to see if the Tennessee Titans are able to add edge. My hopes was going to be that they was going to have enough rotational edge pieces that they could afford to pick at 35, 66, or 101 with edge in my latest mock draft. But if they don't add anything else to the interior to the exterior edge rusher position, I'm really starting to think that Jeremiah Love may be off the board. Now, here is my Hail Mary. My Hail Mary is I'm wrong. My Hail Mary is I'm wrong. And we're thinking traditional edge. Maybe the Tennessee Titans, by bringing in Solomon Thomas, Jordan Elliott, and having CJ Ravenel, maybe they're getting Jordan Elliott and Solomon Thomas to play inside, and John Franklin Myers and Jeffrey Simmons are going to be moved outside with a more stout defensive line, and Femi and Jermaine Johnson are going to rotate on thirds. That's something to think about if they wanted to go with a bigger, beefier line where Jeffrey Simmons and Franklin Myers sometimes play power edge. We've seen teams do that. The Chiefs used to do it by lining Chris Jones up any and everywhere on the outside and inside. That's something to think about. However, I just got to feel like we're too thin at edge to pass Arvell Reese or Ruben Bain if they hit the draft board come draft night, which would mean that Jeremiah Love would be off the table. And then you start looking at some of the other backs in the draft. A lot of people like Mike Washington, as Nick Singleton, Taylor from Virginia, Henry from UTSA. It's some guys I like in the later rounds at running back if they decided to keep Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears on their last years and go to the draft in the later rounds and pass on Jeremiah Love. But this is a big concern for the Titan fan base. What their plan for center and right guard is, and what their plan is for edge rusher. Big Jeff, what did it do? Danny Dimes not only is getting $88 million in 2 years, he's getting $50 million in the first year that he asked for. It's a big roll of the dice for the Colts. You could have went and got Kyler Murray. You could have went and got Kirk Cousins. It's a few people that you could have. You could have tried to put a package together to get Mac Jones. Ultimately, Indianapolis Colts folds to Daniel Jones' demands and now have to hope that a broken leg and an Achilles, he comes back next year and returns to form of where they were 9 games into the season at 8-1 before their season unraveled. Cam was always first. Trading, making room, Mad Max, is that you, player? If y'all missed the earlier stream, you gotta go back on YouTube and see. And this is what he's speaking of. The trade between the Tennessee Titans and the Dallas Cowboys for Solomon Thomas. Now, here's the fun fact. Fun fact is that Mitch Trubisky and Solomon Thomas were at the top of the draft class as first round picks, like the first players selected in that draft class that had Deshaun Watson and one Patrick Mahomes that got drafted after Mitchell Trubisky to the Chicago Bears. Quite crazy, right? Also refused to take a restructuring as well and didn't like his new role in the 3-4 scheme. And now he is moving to San Francisco to play on the Niners. Very crazy, Kyle. Oh, for sure, Cam. Definitely to add another person that's familiar with Robert Saleh's defense. And if we're talking Solomon Thomas over Sebastian Joseph Day and James Lynch, I think that is an upgrade getting Solomon Thomas. Now, I love Sebastian Joseph Day and definitely would not mind if there's bringing him back. But from the moves that was made in the front office by us bringing in Jordan Elliott and Solomon Thomas, along with Jermaine Johnson, Joshua Williams, Cordell Flott, Malik Herring, Wandale Robinson, them bringing back Bryce Oliver, Mitch Trubisky with a year of overlap, and Daniel Bellinger along with Austin Slotman. A lot of connections between the coaching staff, Brian Daboll, Robert Saleh, and general manager Mike Berganza. There's ties. Seems like every move that the Tennessee Titans have made is a culture tie of people who are going to buy in and understand what the Tennessee Titans want to do, because only John Franklin Myers, Alante Taylor, are they're and Cordell Volson. Those are the only guys that they've brought in so far in free agency that are not coaching tie players that are having a reunion of sorts. Let's go. What's popping, man? Should have never gave Osa all that money anyways. That is true, Cam. I think every Cowboy fan said when Osa got that money, it was a mistake. I didn't see anything about Bain's Pro Day, but I will say that as much as I like Bain, the direction that they're going, I could see David Bailey or Arvell Reese being more of their play, because Jermaine Johnson is a power guy, Femi's a power guy, Jeff Simmons is a power guy. There's no finesse guys. Jalen Harrell and Malik Herring are power guys. Truman Jones, Ali Gay, Solomon Thomas, Jordan. Everybody they're getting are power guys. Now you could say, Buddha, you're looking at it wrong. Maybe they go Ruben Bain because they want another power guy and they just want all power rushers to be more stout. Or you need that curveball. You need that closing. You need the Mariano Rivera, and maybe Arvell Reese or David Bailey more fits what they want to do in Nashville at pick number 4. All right, since this is second stream, I'm not gonna just ramble. I wanted to get through the things that I thought was important today, which is Titans have not addressed interior offensive line. A lot of players came off the board today that I thought they might go after. Bradley Chubb, Parham. You've seen a lot of people come off the board, but ultimately, interior offensive line and edge are two positions that we'd like to see addressed, especially seeing Darrell Baker Jr. getting picked up by the Dolphins, which wouldn't be hard to replace because you could turn around and say we'll let Darrell Baker Jr. go, and instead of bringing back Baker Jr. for 3.5, they took a tender on Kair Elam and made Elam the 6th cornerback on the roster instead of Baker Jr., which would be a higher ceiling and upside if you could get the potential out of Elam as a rotational cornerback. But them bringing back Bryce Oliver and watching Byard go reunite with Mike Vrabel, watching Chig go to the Commanders, watching Corey Levin go to the Falcons, some people that we thought would be some of the better players, depth level players that were on the Titans last year that we thought for sure would be back. Baker Jr., Levin, and Sebastian Joseph Day. Most of these guys have already signed contracts elsewhere. He said, what do you think about the defensive tackle rotation from now compared to last year? I would say last year with Sweat and the way we ran our rotation, Sweat started the season on IR. He's a nose tackle. Jeffrey Simmons obviously played with Shy Tuttle, Sebastian Joseph Day, James Lynch, CJ Ravenel in a rotation on the interior. So it's basically Jeff and those guys. And then at edge, Draymond Jones didn't pick up until midway through the season. And after he picked up, they traded him at the bye week to the Ravens. He had a good season. I think he may have had 3 or 4 games in a row with a sack. Arden Key was in and out of the lineup. He had a couple decent games rushing the passer. He's on the Colts now on a 2-year, $20 million deal. Then you had Jahad Ward, who I thought was the most consistent edge on the team last year, with Jalen Harrell and Truman Jones playing pretty good in spell, but not the most talented guys. And then when you think about Femi Oladejo, 2nd round pick, whom we traded with Seattle, and they got Emin Warrior, and we got Femi and Kevin Winston Jr. for trading back because we didn't have a third. Femi was really good at setting the edge. And he was starting to learn to put pass rush moves together because he was a stand-up linebacker in college like Arvell Reese and converted freak athlete to edge. And he got hurt in the Raiders game in week 5 and didn't come back. Was on IR. So this new rotation looks healthier. It looks more stout. It looks like it should not have a problem stopping the run. It looked like it will use power and 2-man game stunts. And maybe with Alontae Taylor, Cordell Flott, and Marcus Harris all being guys that could play in the slot and the nickel, along with Kevin Winston Jr. walking up in the box, you may get the more defensive back pressures, i.e. Witherspoon in the Super Bowl with the Seahawks. Every time they sent the corner blitz, Drake May was completely fooled. But I like the rotation, though. I figured Sensei that's what he would do, is Robert Saleh would not. I didn't think the Titans would be able to land the superstar edges I've been telling y'all that all along. Jalen Phillips got 120 million on the Panthers. Adafio Way got 100 million from the Commanders. Who's my other guy? Boy Mafe got a big contract. I think 3 years, 60 million. Everybody that I had on the board all wind up signing huge contracts. So when you think about the Titans pairing John Franklin Myers with Jeff Simmons, I think for the money in the trade with Tavondre Sweat for Jermaine Johnson, I feel like this is a better rotation across the board than what we had last year. I don't really see weak links. Everybody would point to edge. But like I said before, if they plan on, let's say first down, you throw Solomon Thomas in the interior line with Jeffrey Simmons, and you move John Franklin Myers to the edge, and you rotating Femi and Jermaine Johnson, there may be some situations where they do that on early downs by just going with a bigger unit. Suave, what up? So with all the moves and pickups we made, do you think that we will be good this year? I think we'll be much improved. It should not be hard with some of the moves that they made to think. Titans was 3-14 back-to-back seasons. 6 to 7 wins, doubling the win total. Right now, without Snead, without Ridley, without Pollard, without the draft, I think right now with the adjustments they've made, you double your win total. But within the draft and the remaining free agency and the money they still have, interior offensive line has to be addressed as well as edge. And who knows, they may have a trade partner for Snead or Ridley or Will Levis already, and we just don't know it and they're holding it close to the vest. Oh, Skip Bayless was mad. He said he felt like that Solomon Thomas should have still been a rotation or a tackle on the Cowboys for the price point, especially seeing it was only a 7th round pick swap. Titans gave up 7 spots in round 7 from 225 to 218. They moved back 7 spots in round 7 to get Solomon Thomas. That is smooth. I feel like the Titans won both their trades with the Cowboys in the last 2 years, getting a day 3 pick from Kenneth Murray, who we were going to cut, and then now getting us falling back 7 spots in round 7 to get Solomon Thomas. Seems to be we seem to be on the winning edge of those trades. Moore was good. I think they resigned. I think they could draft Jake Slaughter, who would be a great center and instant starter on a cheap contract. They aren't trying to spend a multi-year $10 million contract for interior offensive line. I disagree. Kevin Zeitler was $9 million last year. They already ate some cap with the medical cut to Cushenberry. To be honest, right now as it looks like Jackson Slater and Slotman will fight it out for center. That would put in an incredible amount of pressure on the offensive line coach and Dabo to get Jackson Slater or Austin Slotman ready to start for 17 weeks. And then with Corey Levin being picked up by the Falcons, we gave $9 million to Zeitler last year, and they're gonna extend Skoronski. So I don't see a way where, if the Tennessee Titans already still have almost $50 million free in cap, still have 9 draft picks, still can trade Will Levis, still can make a move with Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, and L'Jarius Sneed to either free up another $30 million in cap or find a trade partner, which I highly doubt. But stranger things have happened. I wouldn't have a problem if the Titans have $50 million in the bank if the Titans are going to cut at least two of those other players I previously named, which June 1st on Ridley is like 16 to 18 million. If you cut Snead after his physical, whether he passes or fails, that adds 8 million to the cap in free money that we can spend. And then Tony Pollard, if you intend to go with another running back, if you cut him, you only eat 2 million, you save 7. So that's a lot of money to say. Who wouldn't cut L'Jarius Sneed to bring in Kevin Zeitler or Wyatt Teller at right guard right now? And if you're looking at that on the board, if you told me right now that you was gonna go do something like this, if you was gonna take Wyatt Teller and give Wyatt Teller $10 million to play next to J.C. Latham, and then you had Cordell Volson and Garrett Dellinger as backup guards behind Peter Skoronski and Wyatt Teller, and then you said you're going to have a competition between Slotman, Slater, and in my mock draft, day 3, Pat Coogan from Indiana Center. If you went that feels better than where we are right now of saying either Cordell Volson, Jackson Slater, or Garrett Dellinger will play right guard, and then we'll be down to Austin Slotman and Jackson Slater at center in Cam Ward's year 2 in a new offense. That's a lot to handle, especially seeing as we missed on Linderbaum, Biotis, McGovern, Posick, Parham, and Elton Jenkins. Like, I just knew we were going to get one of the top centers off the board, and we didn't. So it puts us in an odd spot right now. So I have no problem with the Tennessee Titans if they wanted to spend $10 million on Wyatt Teller at right guard. Or if they wanted to spend 6 to 8 million on bringing Zeitler back, knowing that you'd only be replacing one starter, and that's at center, and your center has missed most of his first 2 years in Nashville anyways, in Cushenberry. That wouldn't be a big of a deal as if we're sitting now saying you're going to have a new starter at center, and then you're going to have a young guy at right guard. Teams would overload that gap and make them make bad decisions. Q, appreciate the love on all the offline content, my boy. I seen you, and you are greatly appreciated. Yeah, the Levin signing hurt my heart. Who knew that Mason Kinsey would still be on the roster and Corey Levin and Darrell Baker Jr. would be gone? Who knew? Two times. Don't be upset. Henderson at 31 years old a 31-year-old edge rusher doesn't bother me. You know, when he played full seasons, back-to-back 17 and a half sacks. I mean, think about it, T-Town Brown. Jalen Phillips probably had a handful of sacks a year. I don't think Jalen Phillips has ever had 10 sacks in a season, and he just got 4 years, $120 million. I know he's younger, but I still think you're paying for value that Trey Hendrickson you can trust going to be able to get after the QB. If we take Reese and sign another DEN in free agency, bank on Reese to be that superstar edge while stuffing the run consistently with the interior pass rush. The new QBs, the new cornerbacks can be a top 5 defense. Could be, but here's the deal. I think the Jets are going to take Arvell Reese at 2. I think the Jets are going to take Reese at 2. I think if the Jets take Reese at 2, the wild card is what will the Cardinals do? Wild card is will the Cardinals trade out of 3 like they did a few years ago when C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson got drafted back-to-back to the Texans? Could happen. Titans are cooking in free agency. We're just all worried about interior offensive line and edge. If we would have been, like, let's just say, I'm not even saying Max Crosby or Trey Henderson. I wasn't even saying Boy Mafe or Dafiel Way. I knew Jalen Phillips would be a stretch with him coming off the Eagles. We talking Bradley Chubb. We talking Uche. We're talking any decent established pass rusher that has had more than double-digit sacks at least once in his career to go with Jermaine Johnson and Femi Oladejo with Jalen Harrell. We would feel so much better knowing that we could go best player available at 4. So here's the deal. You have to consider all circumstances. Mendoza goes to the Raiders. Let's say the Titans brass really wants Arvell Reese, and Arvell Reese is the only edge they would take at 4. What happens if the Jets take Arvell Reese at 2, Cardinals trade out, and the team that trade out trades in to pick at 3 and takes David Bailey? And what if the Titans brass wanted Bailey and not Bain? What if they're already out on Bain and Bain falls and you wind up picking Carnell Tate, or you just pick Bain out of necessity, trying to fill a gap with a draft pick? I really would like it better if they would have been able to address edge and interior line, and now sitting at 4, we can just take the best player off the board, which in my mind would be Jeremiah Love. But let's not even think about Love. Let's just think in the terms of, what if their 2 guys are Ruben Bain and Arvell Reese and they both gone? You don't want to take Bailey if your first mind was Bailey as your 3rd edge rusher and you don't want to take him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Titans could put themselves in a position where between Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, and David Bailey, they might have to take one. Now, we knew we couldn't fix everything in one off season, but I really don't want them to be in a position where they just have to take something because they have to. And to me, we get in that way with interior offense. Like, if Wyatt Teller and Kevin Zeitler come off the board, I'm going to start sweating. I am. Cody was good. Y'all definitely finessed them boys. If you didn't see my earlier stream, Cody, go to my YouTube and watch the video with Jerry Jones on the front. I had so much fun laughing at y'all fleecing the Raiders. I'm okay with keeping Pollard if we get a true running back 2. Spears isn't enough. He's a running back 3 at best. Here's the thing, Sensei. The reason why I wanted to get a running back this year, Tony Pollard's on his last year. Tajay Spears is on his last year. That's a $9 million running. We're gonna pay Tony Pollard $9 million if he plays. If you make a different move, you cut him, you save $7 million, and you only eat $2 million getting rid of Pollard. Spears is on his last year. Kalel Mullins, I like what I seen of him late in short yardage, but I don't know how much of the offense he can take in. But Julius Chestnut is for sure gone in my mind. If we bring in Pollard, Spears, and Mullins back, if we're going by your thought of having a true running back 2 with Pollard and pushing Spears down to a 3rd down back, the problem with that is Tyler Algier was on the board, Rico Dowdle was on the board, Chris Rodriguez was on the board. It was a lot of solid option 2 type of running backs. Isaiah Pacheco goes to the Lions. David Montgomery comes to the Texans with Woody Marks. You got some veteran running backs like Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb out there, but if you wanted a solid running back too, I would have much rather the Titans took a stab at Rico Dowdle or Algiers. If you wanted another solid running back, now it's starting to get down to where like you're going to have to swing and hit a home run in the draft at a couple positions. Yeah, we definitely want a fast, aggressive defense. For sure, Cody. You think Wyatt Teller's going to Baltimore? For Lele out, y'all got the money freed up with the restructuring. But if the Titans don't bring back Kevin Zeitler, who they said see, this is the problem. They said they prioritized Chig Okonkwo and Kevin Zeitler in free agency. They signed Bellinger to $8 million a year. Chig just signed $10 million a year in Washington. If $2 million a year really is a big deterrent, I can't buy into their thoughts that Chig Okonkwo was a priority re-signing, right? Same with Zeitler. If we're watching all these players come off the board, if Kevin Zeitler truly was a priority of the re-signing period for the Titans, Kevin Zeitler should have already be under contract right now. And then the next best right guard, if we're not bringing Kevin Zeitler, is Wyatt Teller. Unless they really plan on Volson, Jackson Slater, and Garrett Dillinger, between those three, that one of those guys they feel like is the starting right guard. But then even if you do that, all you have is Austin Slotman at center with no Corey Levin, who in my mind played better than Lloyd Cushenberry last year. He said if those edge options aren't there, we trade back. We can fill more needs, pick up a second for a first swap, could go interior offensive line with that extra second. We not dying for cornerback, nor and grab a wide receiver in round 2. I have that in my mock draft, but here's the thing. The Cardinals are a wild card. That with them getting Gardner Minshew and Brissett at quarterback and them signing a bunch of running backs, we know they're not going after Jeremiah Love, and we know they're not drafting a quarterback at 3. Cardinals are in a prime position to trade back before us. So if the team that wants to move up trades up to 3, that could take that trade off our hands, and we could be at 4 with no real suitor to trade back. I don't see the Cowboys giving up 12 and 20 to move up. I don't see the Chiefs giving up 9 and 29 to move up. The Rams have already spent their second first round pick on McDuffie. So I just don't see the world of who is it that wants to trade up to 4 that wouldn't just go ahead and try to trade up to 3 with the Cardinals. For sure, Cody. David Montgomery was missed. Yeah, I mean, he went to the Texans, and him and Woody Marks will be a good 1-2 punch. It'll be a great value version of him and Jahmyr Gibbs, but Woody Marks is a solid back from USC. Honestly, I have no idea what Mike is going to do. I can see him trading back twice in the first 2 rounds. It's definitely an interesting offseason. But here's my thing. We traded back last year because we didn't have a 3rd round. So we traded with Seattle, obviously, for Emin Ward at 35. We traded back and got Kevin Winston and Femi. Titans picked 4, 35, 66, and 101. They got 4 top 100 picks. They already got 5 picks on day 3. There's a point in day 3 where they pick 142 and 144. Got 2 picks within a, like at the middle, at that right middle. You got 2 picks back to back. If you got 9 picks coming into the draft, with the possibility of trading Will Levis pre-draft for draft capital, and with the possibility that goes from 9 to 10 if they trade Will Levis. If they find a trade partner for Ridley or Snead, either one, we're talking about 11 picks coming into the draft. So like, if you're gonna swing 4 times in the top 100 and have 5 to 6 extra day 3 picks, I don't know where the trade back really helps us. Last year it made sense. This year you need to pick the player. Unless somebody give you an offer you can't refuse. But like last year I told everybody the Browns held the key to the draft because we picked 1. If we take Cam Ward, the Browns wind up trading back with the Jags. They got the Jags first round pick, which is 24 this year, and then they got their own number 6. So Browns got 6 and 24. The Raiders had 1 and 14, but 14 went back to Baltimore. So now the Raiders got 1. The Rams had 2 firsts, but traded with the Chiefs. Now Chiefs have 2 firsts at 9 and 29, and Cowboys got 12 and 20. But I don't see any of those teams with a real need to trade up to 4 that wouldn't just trade up to 3 with the Cardinals. Zay was good. D4, what up? I know it's early, but if the Titans stay healthy and mesh good together, they can win the AFC South. I'm not even looking to that. I seen Cam Ward throw passes today, and he looks good. He looks like he's lost a little weight and muscled up a little bit. Looks a little bit more lean. You add in Tommy Townsend, the best punter on the market. You bring back Joey Sly, Morgan Cox. Special teams unit looks better. Defense looks better. Outside of the one worry of edge, and the offense has improved, with the exception of what is the definitive stance of interior offensive line. So until a few more of these things are addressed and we hit the draft, I'm still not sounding the drum yet. Q, how do I feel about the Chiefs? Chiefs are doing what a team in the Chiefs position should do. They moved off of Jalen Watson, Josh Williams, and McDuffie. You know, they got 2 first round picks, 1 at 9, 1 at 29. They went and got Kenneth Walker, which will really help Patrick Mahomes coming off of an injury, having a running back he can depend on. Travis Kelce comes back. No suspension this year to deal with for Rashee Rice. And then I could see the Chiefs taking like Kenyon Sadiq at 9, and at 29 taking the best corner on the board. And I could also see with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and even Tyreek Hill, some of those veteran receivers with a name that other teams might pass on. You could easily see between Diggs, Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, or Tyreek Hill, you could easily see one of those guys winding up in on the Chiefs. Then if they go Kenyon Sadiq at 9, that solidifies behind Travis Kelce for the future. That they got a absolute showstopper at tight end. But it's interesting because the Chargers have a lot of money. You know, Chargers got a lot of money, and Harbaugh is a really good eye for talent. Q, do you think we make any more moves in free agency? I mean, the moves today was pretty solid in the last 24 hours. Like, if you want to be real, sometimes the big moves we get excited by, and the small moves don't blow us away. But we talking about the last 24 hours, adding Slotman and Volson to the line, tendering Bryce Oliver. So that means you got, right now, you have Calvin Ridley, Chimere Dike, Wan'Dale Robinson, Alec Aomana, Bryce Oliver, and Restrepo. You bring in Trubisky at QB2, which means that you get a pick for Levis. They signed Solomon. They trade with the Cowboys tonight. Move back 7 spots in the 7th round to get Solomon Thomas at D tackle, and they picked up Jordan Elliott along with signing Tommy Townsend and Joey Sly. So your special teams, look, you got a Pro Bowler as return man, a 17-year long snapper, the best punter on the market, and you bring back Joey Sly, who was solid last year, with Bones Fossil. So, I mean, they've been making moves. I still think there's more moves to make because, as we said before, you save $8 million if you cut Snead if he passes a physical. along with Calvin Ridley. June 1st, you get 16 to 18 million back by cutting him, and then if you wanted to cut Pollard, you save another 7. So they got plenty of money to make more moves. The only sad thing though, Braden, is I think some of that money has to go to right guard because they whiffed on all the centers in the free agency. I think you got to bring Zietler back, or you got to go get Wyatt Teller at this point. And if you don't get either one of those, that should technically, Braden, that should be the next move, because they said they prioritize Zietler in the re-signing period. So you definitely need to make a move with the interior offensive line in free agency, as well as, like, it worries me if Corey Levin is gone. Will they? I know they got Crenshaw Dixon under contract, but will they bring Oli Udoh back? Need another good quality swing tackle in case Moore Latham goes down at tackle. So those are the moves that I expect to be made in free agency. I expect them to start shopping Will Levis. I expect them to be shopping Calvin Ridley and L'Jarius Sneed right now. And then I expect them to try to spend some money at the interior offensive line. The same would go for edge. Malik Herring is basically a person that may not even make the 53. But, you know, I would have liked to see them get a Minahu or Uche or Bradley Chubb today, and we didn't. So we just got to be patient and see. Hopefully one more free agent move at edge and one more free agent move at interior offensive line. And going into the draft, I would feel good. And then you extend Skoronski and extend Jeffrey Simmons, and then that would definitely be the moves that we need to make, Braden. I think they should keep Sneed and Ridley. Pollard, not so much. The thing about Sneed is he hasn't played much in the time he's been here. Brett Veach and Bergonzi was the guys that traded him from the Chiefs to the Titans and didn't give him a contract. And it had to be for good measure that then Bergonzi shows up in Tennessee and L'Jarius Sneed has legal issues as well as health injury concerns. Now, seeing as we got Josh Williams for the price we got him at, and that L'Jarius Sneed's contract more matches close to Alontae Taylor, I can't foresee a world where you keep L'Jarius Sneed unless he's rehab and healthy and they know for certain that his legal issues not going to affect his play status. Then I can see what you're saying, because you save $8 million if you cut him, but if you wind up spending money for a non-productive player, you may have should have ridden out. Ridley, I could see them riding out more so than Sneed, just because even though he's due $28 million, you didn't get Alec Pierce. You may be in a situation where best player available in the draft might mean you don't find your alpha outside receiver. And if that's the case, then bringing Calvin Ridley back with DK, Wan'Dale Robinson, A.O. Monter, Bryce Oliver, and Restrepo wouldn't be bad, because Calvin Ridley is still a good route runner. Then you hope that he plays well enough that somebody will send an offer for him in the first half of the season where you able to get some good value. And Pollard is only got $2 million guaranteed. So if they decide to cut Pollard and go a different direction at running back, they're going to instantly save $7 million. So that's the thing about Pollard, Sneed, and Ridley is all the money that could be freed up, especially if they have their eyes on another big splash. Gotta bring Zietler back for sure, and maybe address. Only thing about addressing center in the draft, in my mock, I have Indiana center Pat Coogan drafted, but it's not like you're gonna draft Pat Coogan in the 4th or 5th round and have him as your starting day one center. He may can develop into that, but it's Cam Ward's second year and he's in a new offense. In my mind, I feel like Dabo trusts Austin Slotman to be the center to run the offense, and they're gonna have Cordell Volson and Jackson Slater and Garrett Dillinger fight it out for right guard, which is kind of scary if you think about it. You would feel better if you were gonna go with Slotman at center if you signed Zeitler or Wyatt Teller right here, and then Volson became a backup guard with Garrett Dillinger and Jackson Slater backed up at center and right guard. That would be that would make me sleep better at night. Yeah, a lot of people like Ebakete, but we still haven't seen the shoe drop, so to speak. Ebakete would be a good get, but I would have felt a whole lot different, if we was to have pulled one of the names that we truly had at edge. Adding Bradley Chubb or somebody like that to this mix would have made me feel better than Ebakete. Because then I feel like we're settling. Because what you don't want to happen is we just go out and settle on our rotational edge guys and then, take a little longer to develop on our draft guys. And Draymond Jones has a year in New England. And then we are going to be sitting there scratching our head if Arden Key balls out for the Colts. But it's funny how the positions I thought we would struggle to shore up, which was cornerback and wide receiver, was the ones that came in first and even exceeded my expectations. But honestly, looking at it and seeing where we're at, that interior offensive line and edge rusher were going to be the two biggest holes, I wouldn't have guessed it. All right, that's 55 minutes. We almost an hour in. Questions have been great. We're going to continue this shop talk. This one will go up in the morning, and we'll continue this conversation. But we're about to switch over and get on some Fallout. I'm going to take a 60-second break to get myself together. When we come back, we're going to be hunting some ghouls. Hit that subscribe, like, comment, share. Tap into the daily uploads at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed the live streams, we got picture in picture. And if I don't get to any questions during the live streams or the pods, drop them in the comments. I'll make it part of the weekly mailbag. If you're following on the blue, smash those reactions. I know you're an OG. Hit that like, comment, share. Tap into the daily content that is the shop. If you're new to the shop, you definitely should be tapped in on the green. No ads, up to 50 emotes free for just being a follower. You do not have to be a supporter to unlock picture in picture, late night streams. Follow us on Kick. We also live on Twitch. Look out for the drops, as well as if you have Amazon Prime, it's free $99 to sub to the channel once a month. Don't let Jeff Bezos stick that money back in his pocket. If you don't use it on the shop, use it on another content creator that you like. I still call it Twitter, but follow us on X. We tweet back. If you missed the daily shop talks, make sure you tap in for the late night cap on the purple and the green. The Discord is always open. Outside of subs, donos, and cash apps, is also another way to support the content. That's by grabbing a trucker hat, a bandana, hoodies, classic barbershop, Five Nation, right out of the official merch store on Tactic, formerly known as Geeks Unleashed. Code Buddha at checkout to get a discount